During the week of this year's mission trip, I felt God's presence everywhere. But there was a moment in a small greenhouse right outside of the main home office where I felt God's presence the most. On our first day at Home Emmaus, all of us split off into groups. My group moved wood, weeded, and weeded some more, but after lunch we were directed to a greenhouse right outside of the home facilities. It must have been about 100 degrees inside of that greenhouse. It was weeds up to your waist and higher. Some of the other group members and I pulled weeds for a while, only to get half of the greenhouse done. After leaving the greenhouse, some of the members of my group felt the ambition to finish the weeding of the greenhouse before we left to come back to Syracuse. We spent some of the next few days taking time from our schedules to pull weeds out of this disgustingly hot greenhouse, and at the end of the week, I took a look through the doors of the greenhouse to find a weed-free piece of land. Realizing how much our Plymouth group helped all week, I saw God and how much He blesses us every day.
This past summer was one of the best summers I can remember. I went to Orland, Maine with my amazing youth group. In the beginning, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning with my dad to meet at a Wegmans parking lot. We were the first ones there. Then once everyone arrived, we began our journey. After 10 hours in a car, we finally arrived to home, where we were staying. It looked like a barn, but a friendly barn. We went in, and the walls and beds were covered with graffiti. That's what most of my pictures were of. The next day, we began work. One group of Joanna, Greg, Chris, Scott, and I went to a house to paint and clean. I saw God there once when I was painting windows with Chris and when we were finally finished. It was a beautiful, smallish house that we knew was going to make other people just as happy. Another day, we went to the beach. That whole day, I saw God. On the way there, we zigzagged up a mountain and saw the most gorgeous of nature. I have never seen anything like it. But then when we got to the top, it was so beautiful, I literally thought we were all in heaven. When we were swimming in the ocean, Greg and I met this boy. I forgot his name, but he was really funny and seemed very interested in why we were there. There were jellyfish in the water, and Greg threw one at me. We laughed so hard, and I got salty water in my face. We had so much fun. I definitely saw God there. When it was time to go, we were really bummed, but then went to 2 other lakes. One we went to had a rope, and Tim, Greg, and I were swinging off it, trying to figure out the science to get it just right. I knew God was there too, because we saw the most beautiful rainbow we could see both sides of. How often do you see that? Most of all, I saw God in all of the smiling faces of everyone, and all of the rainbows we saw, and nature's beautiful glow. This experience is something you can't describe. You have to live it. I would definitely go on another mission trip. Thank you.
On this year's mission trip, it's safe to say that God was all around us. God was with us in the beautiful places we visited, in the fun we had bonding with each other, in the sparkling shores, the towering forests and the colorful sky, in small seaside towns, in old and well-used buildings, in the abundant blueberry fields, and most of all, at home itself, where even the rooms where we slept bore the marks of countless others before us, come to help others in the name of God. But the most important part of the mission trip was the work we did, because in my group at least, we hardly ever saw who we were directly benefiting with our work. We worked the whole time without the reward of seeing who we helped, but that was okay. We didn't need that reward. We had faith that our work would help someone, and that was enough. I think God was happy with us for that.
Morning. My name is Tim Vanable, and I went on the Maine mission trip last summer. Maine was a life-changing experience for me. I was exposed to a whole different way of life and accent. In Maine, we worked very hard but had fun doing it. We did tasks such as piling wood for the winter, helping with a yard sale, painting, stacking woods of wood at the wood shop, mopping, cleaning, and much, much more. Home was a transition home, a homeless shelter, a food kitchen, and a home to many. One of the most memorable things I remember from the mission trip was picking blueberries. About half of us went and helped a woman handpick these delicious berries. You may think that blueberry picking is hard, and it is, especially on your back. But that day, the weather was absolutely perfect, and the clouds were perfectly covering the sun to avoid the intense heat. We all picked about 2 pints of blueberries. Unfortunately, I tripped and dropped an entire pint of blueberries. I scavenged only half. A day or two after that, we went on a sightseeing journey. We went swimming in the freezing waters of the Maine coast. Your body eventually grows numb. We had so much fun at the beach, catching waves, sunbathing, and getting to know each other better. From there, we went to Acadia State Park, which has many of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen. We went to a rocky coastal area where you could climb all around the rocks while the water splashes up on the rocks beneath you. After that, we went back to the car and circled around a humongous mountain that was home to one of the most stunning views I've ever seen. I think I really saw God in everyone that was on the trip with me, both in the kids and in the adults. Getting to know each and every one of them was truly amazing. I also saw God looking into the spectacular views in Maine, overseeing the ocean. The mission trip to Orland, Maine was a life changer, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Thank you.
Good morning. So, as all of you know, I went on the youth mission trip last summer, and like a lot of other youth that went on the trip, I was asked to write a little speech about where I saw God. So I saw God first, oddly, when we weren't doing anything on the mission trip yet. In fact, I saw God a lot on the 10-hour ride there. Tim and I sat in the back seat of the car for a lot of the ride, and we were laughing at each other's terrible jokes and waving at people in passing cars. Well, I was, and they never waved back. They just kind of awkwardly smiled and then looked dead ahead, never making eye contact with me again. I saw God in this because even though it was kind of weird to wave at people in passing cars, it was just fun, and I think it's important to have fun in life. Sometimes the simplest things can spark joy and happiness. Anyways, that's one place where I saw God in this mission trip. Another place I saw God on the mission trip had to do with this swing on one of the lakes that we swam at. We were all swimming in the shallow area of water, and I tried to have a go on the swing. As you can tell, I'm no circus performer, and I fell off the seat, which was just a bunch of knotted up rope. So I tried another time. It failed. The third time, though, it was a success, and I grabbed onto the swing and flew off above the water. For about 2 seconds, I flew in the air, and then I fell, and that was the only time that happened. That was another time where I saw God, and it was pretty special. Other times I saw God was when I cleaned out a fridge, and when we had spaghetti at almost 9 o'clock at night, and when I cleared out grass in the greenhouse with Milan and Barbara. Overall, I like this mission trip and what it taught me. Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Valerie. As you know now, our youth group went to Orland, Maine this summer. This mission trip was different than the others that I've been on because none of us really knew what to expect when we got there. We knew that we'd be volunteering at home, but we didn't know what we would be doing there. I think that this unknowing really added to the experience because we had no expectations and showed up to give of ourselves and to do what we could to help. I saw God in my fellow youth and the leaders because we all rose to the occasion and did what we could despite not knowing what exactly was helping. I saw God in the people who work at home and have dedicated their lives to helping others with limited means, even though it means that they make less money for themselves. I saw God in the people who came to home for meals and in listening to their extraordinary lives. I saw God in the beauty of Maine, especially when we got to see both ends of a rainbow in a lake. I saw God in the progress that we made on the house that we painted, and in the faces of my friends after a long day of painting in the sun on tall ladders. I saw God in the greenhouse that we completely weeded despite the temperature being close to 100 degrees. I saw God in the messages from past service groups written on the bunk beds and the walls of our rooms. I saw God in the red paint that we used to paint picnic tables and that only came off with gasoline. I saw God in the frustrations as well, because they helped us to grow as individuals and as a group. This mission trip was one that impacted me and that I'll remember for a long time.
Hello, I'm Milan. Okay. Where I saw God. In the Wegmans parking lot as we gathered in a group to pray. When I got to know everyone better on the mission trip. When the sky looked like the ocean. When I helped the lady who was wearing red, white, and blue. When she told me, God bless you. When I lost internet connection. When the light would come into the window each morning and wake me up while I was in Maine. I saw God in each and every one of us.